I'm removing this horsehair braid by just cutting right at the very edge of the braid. It's leaving a little bit of the fabric onto the braid. Because what's happening is as I am popping loose the fabric from the horsehair braid, it is just too time consuming for one, and it's also I'm having to get too close to the nylon, and I've clipped a couple of pieces already in trying to save the nylon and save. It just is not worth it because I'm going to end up ruining this horsehair braid and then not be able to reuse it on this gown. So what I'm doing is just I'm cutting around it, leaving the fabric on it, and I'm going to put a deep hem on it so that it is covered and you do not see it. I'm getting right on the edge of the threads, what I'm doing. And it's separating the nylon from the fabric. I'm sure a pair of scissors probably would be more sufficient, but I like using these because I have more control of how far and how much I can get. I can't really make a mistake with these because I'm right on the edge of it. I'm just real detailed. There's no chance in overcutting or getting uneven cuts. That was pretty thick there because that was the seam line where the sides joined at. So there were several layers of fabric there. May need to get your scissors to cut through that, but these are fairly sharp, so it was sufficient. Be careful not to cut your fingers if you're using snippers or even scissors as far as that goes. See how close you could get. Many times I've cut my fingers and my thumbs doing these different techniques. So I don't do it as easily anymore, but it still happens. another seam, cut right through. I'm almost finished. Doing this way, I haven't cut or snipped into any of the horsehair braiding, so I'm glad that I went this route. Because within just the first inch or two of doing it the other way, I'd already snipped the inside. Fortunately, it wasn't the edge that I snipped, because that would just keep unraveling and unraveling, and it'd been a big mess to repair. So it was on the inside, but still that will be weakened there, so I'll go in before I attach this horsehair braid, and I'll put a few stitches with my sewing machine there just to keep it from running and going any farther. But if that was on the end, I would not have been able to repair it like that. Alright, I've got them separated. So now I'll put the horsehair braid to the side. And now I need to measure my gown. What I want to do with this one, because it is a stretch material, I really don't want to take a chance on leaving any residue on this gown. So instead of going around and marking like what I started here with the white chalk, I'm going to put needles instead all the way around. I'd rather err and spend more time than to put any spots on this gown. She loves this gown. She's a senior. I do not want to leave any bad taste, anything for her to worry during this time. This is her gown. This is what she's chose. This is a beautiful gown, and she's beautiful in it, and I don't want it to have any flaws at my hands, that's for sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and get me some needles, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, I've got me a saucer full of needles. I like to use saucers because I can slide in and out real easy with my fingers, where with the pin cushions you have to put, it's kind of a little cumbersome, and even the magnetic ones are. So for me, I just use saucers for my pins. That's all I use. So I've got plenty of pins. Now I need to determine where do I want to cut the fabric off at. So remember earlier, I measured this. This is measured from the top. I used the top of the horsehair braid. So it needs to end the actual hem once it's complete. I'm using my leg here to show you. Okay, this is where the top of the horsehair braid needs to go. So it's going to be here, and I'm just going to pin in place, just stabilizing the horsehair braid so I can move it around and see what is going to be the accurate measurement that I need to cut off here. There's the top of the braid. Okay, and this part you will need to use a flat surface. Right now I'm just going to use my knee. Alright, I'm just stabilizing the horsehair braid to the gown's all I'm doing. It looks like it's going to be right at the bottom of this line, actually. So that's going to make it really easy for measuring and cutting, just like it was when I thought I was going to fold it. So she's getting this much cut off. That's good amount from here to here. About what, I'd say a good 4 inches that she's getting cut off. Now remember, whenever you cut this fabric, you're going to have to allow enough fabric allowance to do a double fold for a horsehair braid, because you're going to fold this twice in order to get a seamless edging. And in the case of this one, seeing as I did leave the original gown trim on here, I will need to go a little longer on my seam allowance because I want to hide that. I don't want her seeing that. I don't want it to be any kind of cosmetic irritations, to her, for her to see, or any rubbing against her skin, nothing like that. So I'm going to make it a little longer just to cover all of that. All right, now I'm just pinning in place the horsehair braid because this is where it's going to be sewn. And I just want to see how it's going to lay. I just want to make sure it's going to lay where it needs to. Yep, it will. So, alright. I have my measurements determined now, so I need to go back and cut all this excess off. Now, if I did not have this line to go by of this thread, this cosmetic piece of this thread that's here, I would, of course, would be marking this with something in some capacity. But since I have this thread here, I'm going to know where I need to cut. So I don't need to mark anything because I'm going to cut down here and give myself plenty of seam allowance to hide everything. So, all right, I'll be back with y'all soon.